Alright, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to make the best GRAU class in all of Call of Duty Warzone. We're going to be comparing the two barrels, the Angel and the Nexus, head to head in the overall stats to tell you guys which barrel is actually better. There are some unique stats about the barrels, such as strafe speed, the idle sway, and the hip fire, which is actually not listed on the attachment card, which you're also being showcasing in today's video to tell you guys which barrel is better. Along with that, we're going to be going over a couple of the unique attachments most of you guys primarily use on your class setup, as well as talking about what is the best grip for the GRAU. As most of you guys should know, the reason this gun is the most used gun in Warzone, it has the best range and it has the best mobility out of every single assault rifle, and those two things play a big factor in all of Warzone. So we're going to be going for two different kind of class setups. One is going to be going for the best mobility, which you're going to have a faster movement speed, a faster aim down sight time for a little bit worse recoil, and then we're going to be going for the best recoil pattern possible to give you guys that max damage range weapon, which you'll be able to hit every single shot with. Basically has no recoil. So first and foremost, the Archangel barrel and the Nexus. The biggest difference people mainly pick the Archangel for is the iron sight. You guys can see on the screen all the different iron sights for the GRAU of all 5 different barrels. I definitely prefer the Archangel barrel in my experience using it. I'm able to get a lot more headshots due to how precise you're able to, precisely move your aim with this barrel is definitely very good. As far as the difference in stats, you guys will be able to see on the screen. I'll be showcasing all the differences. There are a few minimal differences and one big difference, which is the aim down sight time between the Angel and the Nexus. So as far as the differences, the Angel is about 4% slower movement speed, which the Nexus is 3% slower. Your strafe speed, which to me plays a big factor, which is basically when you're aim down sight moving left to right, the long barrels actually do affect your strafe speed, which makes you a slower moving target. The Archangel only has an 8% slower strafe speed, which the Nexus has 6% slower. So only 2% difference you won't notice in game. Definitely plays a big factor in making the Angel a little bit better. Only 1% slower movement speed and 2% slower strafe speed. The biggest difference is going to be that aim down sight time. With that Nexus barrel, you're going to go from 234 milliseconds up to about 267, which is kind of a big difference. As far as with that Archangel, you're going to go from 234 milliseconds up to 300 milliseconds, which is 4 frames slower at 60 FPS, versus the Nexus is only 2 frames slower. So it's 2 times worse aim down sight time, which is definitely a big factor. As far as the difference in the overall recoil, as far as the max vertical kick, they're almost identical. What I found, which you guys can see on the screen now, the difference is in the initial kick. There's less side-to-side variance with the Angel, and there's obviously a little bit better initial kick. You're able to hit your first few shots with the Angel a lot better. You get a slightly worse hip fire and also a slightly worse idle sway. The only way you really will notice it if you stack an attachment on there that makes your hip fire worse or better, or makes your idle sway worse. So definitely not a big factor. Like I said, the biggest difference is in that aim down sight time. So if you're looking at the biggest differences, and the last factor is going to be the overall range. Your base range of the GRAU is about 35 and 63 meters. With that Archangel barrel, you're going up to 51 and 91. With the Nexus, goes to 49 meters and 88 meters. So you've got a 2 and 3 meter difference, which once again is such a small percentage, you once again won't notice it. But as far as what is the biggest difference, the Archangel is barely worse in all of the categories as far as the movement speeds and the ranges, but you also get a way better recoil in my pattern. Your first initial shots, getting a better recoil in my opinion plays a bigger factor. Range is a little bit better, and the iron sight's better in exchange to basically get a worse aim down sight time, which you can counter with the no stock and the tac laser attachments. I personally have switched 100% over to the Archangel barrel due to the fact that all these stats play a bigger factor in my experience in making this a better attachment. So the next biggest thing to me is those unique attachments. The last one is basically the 5th attachment everybody's using on their class setup. You're always going to use the suppressor, the extended mags with a grip, and that long barrel. But the 5th attachment you guys use, in my experience, I've seen a lot of people using the stipple grip, which I am 100% going to not recommend. You also have the tac laser with no stock and the rubberized grip. Those are the 4 main attachments you want to stack on your class setup. And then we're also going to be taking a look at the 3 grips and telling you guys which one's the best. So as far as the stipple grip, you get a slightly worse idle sway, which if you're stacking it with that Archangel barrel, which gets a slightly worse idle sway, you will definitely notice it. As far as your initial kick, which you guys can see on the screen right now, is 100% noticeable. This thing pulls dead to the left. I personally have never used the stipple grip in my experience with it due to the fact that it makes your recoil worse and your idle sway, which plays a big factor on your overall accuracy. Like I said, that initial kick pulling dead to the left is going to make you not able to hit your first few shots easier, which is allow you going to down someone faster. So I 100% recommend avoiding it. All you do is get about a 1 frame faster aim down sight time and a slightly faster sprint out, which doesn't play that big a difference in Warzone. As far as talking about the tac laser, you get a slightly better idle sway, which, like I said, once again, is going to have to be stacked with the Ranger Commando foregrip, or obviously with that Archangel barrel, you probably really won't notice it. What I did find is you get about a 15% faster aim down sight time, which in my experience with this, it's only going to be recommendable if you're using the Ranger or the Commando, or if you're using the Archangel barrel, which you're going to be fighting a lot more long range fights with that tac laser. Definitely want to counter the Archangel aim down sight time, which, like I said, the Nexus has a really good aim down sight time, so I really only recommend using the tac laser if you're using an Archangel class setup with the Ranger or the Commando foregrip on there, because you're going to get improved idle sway, definitely a very improved idle sway, and you're also going to get a significantly faster aim down sight time, which is going to help counter that negative you get from the Archangel barrel. As far as talking about the no stock attachment, it gives you about a 15% faster aim down sight time, which is about 2 frames. So you go from 234 milliseconds aim down sight time all the way down to 200, which is now SMG level. So the aim down sight time is excellent. Your movement speed goes from 97% to 101%, which is excellent. So you get a 4% faster movement speed, which the GRAU is the best in the mobility category, which is why I 100% use no stock on almost every single class setup, because it makes your GRAU still retain that best mobility category, and obviously it's going to improve both those stats, which in my opinion is what makes the GRAU the most elite weapon in the game. And as far as that vertical kick, it does kick a lot more. Your first initial few shots are a little bit worse, but it's only a vertical kick, which is the easiest to control in my experience, so I definitely 100% recommend this. This is almost always going to be my 5th attachment in my class setup, just because it keeps the GRAU amazing where it's already amazing. And as far as for those of you who focus 100% on accuracy, your rubberized grip tape's definitely going to be an excellent attachment. It's going to stack the best with the Archangel barrel because it helps you lower your recoil just by a little bit, which you guys can see on the screen here for a little bit worse idle sway. In order to get a little bit less vertical recoil, I definitely found it to be very enjoyable to use. It definitely makes a difference at those long range fights. As far as comparing the 3 grips, which are going to be the best, this is actually pretty surprising. A lot of you guys probably saw recently the CDL update. They had a gentleman's agreement to actually completely ban the Merc foregrip for a reason. It definitely is the #1 grip I recommend for the GRAU. It's going to obviously give you a better hip fire with a little bit less vertical recoil. As far as comparing the Merc head-to-head versus the Ranger, the biggest difference is that strafe speed. In my experience testing it, the Ranger is about 5 to 10% slower strafe speed, which is obviously going to take you from AR level strafe speed all the way down to LMG, which in my opinion plays a big factor, especially if you're playing a little bit more aggressive. The Merc foregrip is going to give improved hip fire, which will stack with that no stock attachment, as well as the strafe speed's a little bit better. So they're going to have almost an identical recoil pattern. You guys will be able to see on the screen right now the 3 different grips in exchange to get a better strafe speed. So the Merc is my #1 attachment. Obviously the GRAU has a strictly vertical recoil pattern. Definitely would recommend going for the recoil control first. As far as why I almost always use the Commando, it's going to help increase that stabilization, which the GRAU does have a bit of side-to-side variance in your first few shots and the last few shots. And obviously it's going to give you a little bit better idle sway, which will stack with something like the tac laser or something like that, in exchange to only give you worse movement speed. Does not affect your aim down sight time like the Merc does and the Ranger, so that's why I almost always use it. So as far as talking about those 2 best class setups, with the Nexus barrel, we're going to be running the Commando foregrip, the 50-round mag, the no stock attachment, obviously the Nexus barrel, the monolith suppressor. You're going to get a 95% movement speed, which is only 2% slower, which is still the fastest out of all the assault rifles. 250 millisecond aim down sight time, which is still, once again, the fastest of all the assault rifles. And your strafe speed goes down slightly worse in exchange to get a excellent mobility class setup, which in my opinion, this is probably my favorite class setup. I have been using the Angel a little bit more, but I prefer the Nexus just due to the fact that it has better mobility. And as far as going for that Archangel, the difference is we're going to be swapping the Merc foregrip in there, which is going to help with the recoil. We're going to be stacking with the rubberized grip and the Archangel barrel to basically give us the least amount of recoil possible. Once again, putting the 60-round mag on there just because you want the most ammo possible. Movement speed is still very good, only at 91%, which is a little bit faster than some of the other best class setups for the other assault rifles. Your aim down sight time is where you're going to get the biggest negative, about 317 milliseconds, is about 5 frames slower, which is pretty significant, but this gun is made for long range fights. your stray speed is going to go down to about LMG level, which is going to play a big factor in my opinion. So this class setup is mainly built for long range gunfights. So that's pretty much it for today's video. Hopefully this video helps you guys make a better GRAU class setup, a very in-depth video covering all these unique attachments. Whatever gun you guys want me to do a next best class setup video for, leave that down in the comment section below. Make sure you guys like the video if you guys did enjoy. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And as you guys know, the best and only code to use on all of your scuff and GFUEL purchases is code Trapgod. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.